JDG versus TES, the finals of summer 2020, the deciding match between who was going to represent LPL as its number one seed in Worlds 2020. And of course, we all know the outcome of that match. It was a best of five that went the distance and finally ended up in favor of TES. For this game, however, 369 is not going to be in. Instead, Ching Tian is going to be in as JDG with the Renekton first pick following their bans of Lee Sin, Lulu, and Karma. Bunch of Enchanter supports being banned. Meanwhile, TES banning out mostly flex mid lane and jungle picks as the Varus and Udyr combo is locked in for TES. On the side of JDG, wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Ezreal come out. Ezreal, of course, is a Loken classic and also does pretty well against the Varus. It's pretty hard to hit the Chains of Corruption onto him due to the Essence Arcane Shift, of course, as it looks like the very standard JDG combo, the very standard overall combo, but a fan favorite in the LPL of Renekton Nidalee is eventually picked. Loken played a lot of Jin, of course, in his career so far. So this is a pretty standard composition. JDG are making it blatantly obvious right from the get-go that they are going to be focusing hard on the top side. Meanwhile, TES on the other hand seem quite happy with the Aatrox pick into the Renekton instead of perhaps a Ngar. Gwen is a great pick as well. It's pretty hard to land the spear onto her if she just activates her W every time she is stunned up, as a nice bunch of picks come in. Oh, very nice outfits by those two fans over there. Very classic, very traditional. I like it. And the Aatrox pick comes in, followed by a swift Lucian ban. Don't want too much AD power coming out in the mid lane. TES, I'm pretty sure they're going to look to ban the what's that champion? Ban the Twisted Fate over here as JDG just targeting out the support picks. I'm pretty sure TS will ban TF here. Yep, because of course the TF Nidalee combo, that's one of the classics, and it's just so much catch, so much point and click CC as it is. Both the bot and top lane of JDG are flaunting a ton of CC at this point in time. On the side of JDG, what will they perhaps look to ban out? Maybe there's no sense banning out any engaged supports, so you could perhaps look to ban. You could, I guess, the Lux. As the Kali ban comes in, looks like they are done with the support champion pool. On the side of TS, they're probably going to leave Knight for last pick. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what they go for here in the bot side. Will they go for not? Okay, interesting. I thought that they would perhaps opt for the Leona because it might be a little bit hard to reach, of course, the Jin and the Not and the Nidalee with the Not, but it's not going to be impossible. Leona is a perfectly fine pick here coming from JDG. JDG have perhaps one of the most standard drafts right now going into the game. The Leona makes up for the lack of tankiness and engage due to the Nidalee being in the jungle, but the Nidalee and Renekton are a perfect combo. So Leona covers for their shortcomings, and then everyone just adds to it because Renekton can follow up, Nidalee can follow up, Jin's got a ton of follow up, and as well as long range push. And it looks like, despite the fact that they'll be layering double AP in the mid jungle, they seem very content with the Zoe pick. Because Zoe, of course, providing tons of mid lane priority and roam capability. Yaga, of course, one of the most insane Zoe players, as an insta lock comes in from Knights LeBlanc, and just like that, it looks like the game is going to get underway. So JDG, there's no really need to look at it. They're just looking to keep looking safe in the bot lane and just put all the pressure into the top and maybe mid lane. But Knight, of course, have tons of mobility from his distortion, as well as the fact that he's got that bit of trickiness with his passive means that he might not be as easy a target. On the side of TES, it kind of looks like they're just looking to mirror. They can look to play towards bot side. Double ultimates is going to be extremely lethal. Loken realizing there is not much point going cleanse over here because the only thing you can cleanse is perhaps one of the LeBlanc chains, which she might just one shot you anyways, and the Udyr slap. And if he's on top of you, then there really isn't much to it. As both the coaches smiling as they leave the stage. Let's see what goes on here. It looks like JDG playing pretty much to what anyone would expect. If you identify a new face, you just attack that point in time because all new players represent a potential weakness that can be exploited. Looks like I forgot what the support's name is exactly. The one that the current TES support who is standing in for Yanja you yeah from last split from last year. I'm pretty sure he's really ham and it's really nice to watch him, but I think he can be considered kind of like a point of weakness here, as he is a little bit. He tends to get caught up. Oh, there we go. Tends to get a little bit caught up and tends to be a very, very, very ham. So let's just see how this fight unwinds. Kanavi's Nidalee is the stuff of legends. People generally are not too comfortable giving it to him. Him along with Peanut, all very threatening. A nice little, and the scaling from JDG's competition is really not that bad as well. Because if you look at it, they have a good bunch of poke for the mid game from, of course, the Zoe, the Nidalee, and the Jin. They've got engaged. They don't really have too much side lane pressure. Renekton isn't so shabby. Scaling wise, it's not the best, but trust and believe the game is probably not going to go for that long. Because I think JDG, if they execute this properly, TES stands little to no chance. It's going to be exciting to see, of course, how TES is going to be able to ward off the advances of JDG, as even a drum in the stands. Very hype coming in here from the fans. Everyone is excited to be out here after a series of lockdowns. It's about time to have some special events, to have some reason to go out, cheer, shout our lungs out. As a bot side, leash start coming in from JDG as opposed to Karsa, who is not getting any love in the bottom side. Looks like Jackie Love and Zoa are very much emphasizing their ability to hit level 2 first here, maybe apply some early pressure. Jin, not the strongest champion in the early games, of course, only having 4 bullets that do little to no damage, as already the priority going heavily in favor of Yagao in the early game. Knight is able to, with his W, is going to be able to fight back a little bit as a bit of trading goes back and forth. Zoa taking 0 damage with his, I think he started with his shield. Looks like he's stepping up now. Looking at the minion waves, TES definitely have a slight bit of an advantage there. The creeps are going to die first as Loken is traded a bunch of damage onto Jackie Love. Jackie Love popping his blight stacks with the rain of arrows means that there will be no question as to who won that little trade. Looks like they're crashing the wave a little bit early now, crashing second wave instead of third. There's a number of minions there. Zoom just dropping a quick ward to try and spot out Karsa. Now they are fully aware of which side of the jungle he most probably started at, which is important, of course, for Zoom because he is the one who is pushed out incredibly much, but Kanavi is in his wings, so Kanavi will be able to rotate in the event of a gank. Zoom just needs to be able to hold up for as long as he can. Does have flash, so will probably be fine. Both junglers, of course, rotating up towards the top side because they know that this is going to be the main point of contestation. Without a doubt, this is where all the action is going to unfold across the early game. Mid game, we can't quite say. And if there are kills going on in the bottom side, I will be very surprised, as that would represent a misplay from either side. And let's just see how the game goes, I guess. As Love Mao stepping forward, getting the Xenoblade onto Jackie Love, instantly getting rooted out as well with the Jin W. Cleanse is forced out. He is ignited. This side is flashed away, and the last shot comes ringing through, piercing him in the back. Jackie Love overstepping severely. I cannot believe that, we just mentioned it. He just misplayed. Stepped up, got chain CC'd, kind of had to wait because there was so much stuns coming out and so much CC very nicely layered in here as Yagao makes his way back into the mid lane with a teleport. Knight does have Ignite in this fight, so he won't have quite as much tempo as Yagao will. Yagao, of course, with his spellbook probably means that, oh, very nice. With his spellbook, he probably means that he will be able to match the kill pressure in about, I think, about 9, 7, 8 more minutes. I don't really remember exactly the time of Unsealed Spellbook. A good thing to look into now that you mentioned it. Now, I like what was going on over there as Zol was just tanking out the minions, just waiting for Jackie Love to come back. And of course, he knew he had Karsa around the corner. So if Loken tried to over-aggress in any degree, he was going to have to suffer and get killed by Karsa, who is right now very strong. As you see here, Love Mao walking up so clearly. Jackie Love trying his best to sidestep it as they layer the CC so perfectly. Finally, the cleanse coming out very late, and then the ignite gets popped on him after flash in. Last shot coming in from Loken, and all Zor could really do is just root everyone up around him, which he did. So there's really nothing much that Zor could have done beyond that point. No roams coming in after the initial back from the bottom laners of JDG, as a piercing arrow goes wide. Logan with that nimble and small frame just able to walk past as Zoro is now in a perfect position to land a hook, but Kanavi is in the area. He might have been spotted out by that ward in the bush as a bit of a tussle begins over ward vision. Kanavi now enters into the field as Flash in Xenoblade comes in onto Jackie who is just being pounced on. Looks like there's a change of plans coming in from JDG as bottom lane Jackie seems to be the point of attack for JDG. An unexpected turn of events, not impossible I suppose, as in the top side Zoom is actually not having the time of his life. Ching Tian just having a roll onto this crocodile, wanting himself a nice pair of shoes as Kanavi's made his way behind Zoro, behind the tower. Zoro popping his shield, trying his best to run away, uses the anchor toss onto the wall and now running back into lane, trying his best to clear a path for Jackie Love, not wanting to taste the grey screen of death a third time now, as a very nice pressure coming in. Looks like Zoom having teleported back is just having his way with Ching Tian, who, not respecting the item advantage, is just going to be punished. 400 gold lead now in favor of Zoom, just getting a bit of a lead over from that solo kill. It's probably going to freeze the wave very comfortably over here. At least Ching Tian, actually no, they've lost track of Kanavi at this point in time, so a teleport here could be quite dangerous. Needs to shove this wave out as fast as possible. Unfortunately, his position necessitates a little bit of risk. Unfortunately for him also, his jungler is not in the area and cannot come to his assistance should Kanavi turn the corner at any point in time, which looks to be what is about to happen, because Kanavi, even though he's a bit low on mana, has nothing else to do in this top side. Looks like Ching Tian is about to save himself with a very well-timed pop of the vision plant, spotting out Kanavi and trying to get away as fast as he can, but Zooms on his tail, does have flash, does have slice and dice, but it looks like in the end it is not going to be. As will this trigger TES to go for the dragon? Looks like it will, as Karsa has entered the pit. Not sure if he's clearing out vision or he's just trying to solo it out as fast as possible. Looks like it is the latter, as Jackie Love and Zoro maintaining pressure. Knight being able to wrestle back some priority in the mid lane over Yagao, who opted to go for the cleanse from his first upgrade from his spellbook instead of the ignite to counter out Knight. I suppose his intentions are clear. It is not to fight Knight, actually, it's just to just push in the waves and provide his team with pressure, lock Knight into lane, not allow him to rotate and be a part of this early game unfold as it unfolds before our very eyes. Nice little sidestep coming in there from Zoom, who in the 2020 season was hailed as perhaps the best top laner outside or alongside Bin, not quite sure which way that went, as Yagao could really do with a blue buff right about now. It is spawning in about a minute's time. Knight getting the second one of the game, which is going to allow him perhaps to match the push coming in, relentless pushing coming in from Yagao, as in the bot side Karsa perhaps looking to attempt a bush gank, but for some reason this guy gets spooked off in the last moment. Not quite sure if he managed to skirt the edges well enough here. It looks to be a 3v3. There are no teleports available for either team, so this is going to be a 3v3 maximum. Both mid laners are locked into lane right now. Yagao pinning Knight under tower, but is quite low on mana. Probably won't be able to make the rotation. In comes Xenoblade right onto Jackie Love, but Jackie Love managing to walk away from it quickly. Really being chounced very hard though by the damage coming in from range, as Lovemao is now traded back onto, gets taken out by the piercing arrow, and the corrupting chains start bouncing around. Kanavi has 3 stacks of blight on him as the curtain call comes in. Zoro getting tagged up by both the first and second shot, as well as the spear, as Karsa tags up the last shot. Yagao has come in, flashing in to finish off Karsa, as Jackie Love has got nowhere to run at this point in time, and Knight arrives late for the fight. Unfortunately, Yagao and Loken at both full HP. Yagao rotating first because of the priority that allows him to do it, and Knight unfortunately was not able to get anything back, even losing some CS and pressure in the mid lane. Unfortunate turn of events as yet another death befalls Jackie Love. Didn't manage to pick himself up a kill, so it's you can either look at it as a gold reset or a fact that at least he got killed this time for his troubles. As Lovemao stepping forth fearlessly. Gale Force has been completed now onto Loken, as they did spot out, I knew it, they did spot out Karsa, so they had full knowledge of him being here. But still, Lovemao managing to chunk Jackie Love quite severely in spite of the fact the spear missed. Only thing that really hit was the Jin W, but look at the damage coming. Jackie Love at half HP from just a Jin W, and Lovemao wailing onto him. And at first it looks really good here, but I think they realize, whoa, they're all kind of low. Curtain call comes in, 2 shots to Zoro, and then a 3rd shot onto Jackie Love. Final shot piercing Karsa, leaving him so incredibly low, as Yaga is able to Sleepy Trouble Bubble auto him to death with the passive. And just like that, the first mythic item has entered the game, as Ching Tian has 85 stacks of Cull in his inventory. That's just how fed Loken is right now, with 5 KP, a solid 2 kills and 3 assists. TES in a dire situation right now, falling behind against this team composition is going to make the mid game especially rough. As Zuo is here now, looks like to be a 3v3 if they choose to, but TES having revealed Karsa, I think I'm just going to try and get some bid priority back, just relieve some pressure onto Knight, who managed to land the chain, but Yagao smacking him in the face with a pedal star, kind of getting rid of any idea, inkling, or intention for aggression. Jackie Love is still working towards his mythic item in terms of CS, has managed to keep up relatively well, but if we look at the gold values, he is just under 1k, about 800 gold behind. So honestly, Jackie Love is not going too bad. He really is just 2 kills down, or maybe a couple of assists, as Kanavi starting up the Rift Herald, of course full control of the top side, and in quite honesty, in almost entirely quite all full honesty, they are very much in control of the bottom lane as well. Love Mao has been the one to find the engages, and that's the beauty, I think, of the Leona. That's why Leona is slightly stronger versus ranged champions, especially when there are melees in front. So Leona is stronger right now because even if you engage on Leona with the Knot, she can get past Nautilus with the Zenith Blade. Meanwhile, if Knot was to get engaged on here, he could not get on to Loken unless he flashed onto him. All comes up with that depth charge, which he has just now gained access to. As level 6 comes in for both supports, perhaps we will now see Zuo get out of bot lane. I don't know if he can afford to, however, as long range engage coming in that is available for JDG's bot side from, of course, the Solar Flare, might mean that that is not a possibility that will be entertained. As the Pestars come, as the little fight comes out, Love Mao jump in way ahead of time. Zuo knocking up Loken with the depth charge, also knocking up Love Mao, forcing him into the stopwatch as the arrow comes in, chunking him out well. Yagao just in lane now, but with the priority they've gotten in the bot side, just gonna drop the Rift Herald down there, continuing to apply pressure onto the bottom lane of TES, identifying weakness, smelling blood in the water. JDG pounce continuously as Karsa is now getting some vision towards the bot side, protecting Knight, who is also trading some damage to structures in the mid lane. Looks like first tower will fall in favor of JDG. 12 minutes in, a slight gold lead, ever so slight, growing in their favor, almost 4.5k in their favor at this point in time, as gold is just coming in and they are winning in every single role, every single lane. Yaga needs to be careful here as he's going to be hooked up insanely immediately as he's in such greedy play. Instantly gets bear stance up, forced to flash over the wall. There is not going to be any follow as Love Mao is there to play goalkeeper. Love Mao, of course, getting a little bit of damage thrown onto him as well, but he does have the aftershock to keep him safe. I think JDG need to be a little bit careful here because they are being a little bit cocky. Yagao, very, very aggressive pathing here, which is going to result in him getting chunked out and allow TES to start stacking their second dragon, which is probably going to be good for them as they don't need to worry about dragons for at least another 15 minutes. That's how long it's going to take for JDG to stack up 2 dragons and have a third dragon at which TES can look to fight for. Unfortunately, JDG not able to get any significant cross-map play. Zoom, it's not like they are like taking down the top tower while TES was given 2 free dragons. Unfortunately, this is all a result of just Yaga getting caught. He might not have died, but he got chunked enough that they immediately lost all the pressure on the map. Knight's farming up a Storm over here, but kind of in the same situation as Jackie Love. Matching in terms of CS, but down essentially in only because of the kills that Yaga has managed to pick up from a beautiful roam that came from his continuous pressure in the mid lane. Tons of vision control in the river towards mid lane for JDG as a little Aram unfolds. Looks like TES not wanting to partake in that, but as a result will be the ones getting tons of tower damage being loaded onto them. JDG's jungler is just hanging around here looking for a kill as spear after spear rings through. Zuo getting tagged up. Night Harvester triggering Zenith Blade coming out is just enough to just tag out Jackie Love, not even stunning him, which allows the shots to come ringing through. Yaga looking to one-shot Zuo, forced a flash as he tanks up 2 tower shots. Yagao might be headed back to base yet again. Knight is around the corner, does have the double distortion as well. Splash can instantly blow up Yagao and severely chunk Loken as Karsa stepping forward. Looks like Knight is more interested in Love Mao than he is Yagao or Loken at this time. And they managed to save their mid tower. Unfortunately, Jackie Love bites the dust yet again, stepping up awfully aggressively for a poke Varus right now. But what can he really do? As the solar flare didn't even hit him, it just allowed Loken to land his W and unload on him with the curtain call. And just like that, yeah, JDG walk away with another kill. Yagao with this blue buff is going to be the epitome of obnoxious, as a synchronized recall coming in here for JDG. There are no objectives on the map, at least for the next 3 minutes. Second Rift Herald probably will be spawning around within that time, as Karsa now stepping in. He needs to be careful as just walks in and cheekily smites away the Raptors. It's all about the little wins and the small statements. Karsa is, of course, one level behind Kanavi, is spotted out by the Bloom, and looks like JDG will work together to get rid of all the vision that he has placed in the bot side jungle. Yagao now making his way towards the bot side, as in the top lane, Island, Zoom, and Qingtian look to be just having a farming bro lane, aside from that little bit of aggression displayed by Qingtian initially, in which Zoom came back and taught him a lesson for going aggressive in their little bro lane. Now, Rift Herald is spawning in under a minute. That's probably where we're going to see the biggest point of contestation. But so far, JDG relentless in their pressure, as Love Mao maybe stepping out a little bit too far. Knight jumps on him. Zenith Blade goes down, as well as the Solar Flare, as Knight is just being pounced. Love Mao is just being pounced on. In comes the teleport. This is Zoom. Zoom is incredibly strong right now. Xingtian's teleport starts as soon as Zoom's ends, and looks like he's going to find himself in a 1v4 situation. Zoom's landing a stun on him with the flash, and Kanavi just flashing in to finish him off as well. Knight looking to assassinate Loken, and will get him at the cost of his own life. Predicting the flash very nicely was Knight, actually delaying it slightly. Thankfully, the chain did not break, and it is enough to bring Loken down. 4 flashes expunged there by the members of JDG. Meanwhile, on the side of TES, it looks like they have matched with 3 stuns as well. Love Mao getting caught, but eventually it is a 2 for 2 actually, as both the bot laners of JDG are taken out. Looks like Rift Herald has spawned. It is going to be where the fight is next. However, JDG have such a lead at this point in time. TES, it's not going to be a good idea to even attempt a contest. And with that, they will be checking their recalls. Dragon is spawning in a minute's time. Perhaps TES could wrangle up a situation where they could trade objectives, start applying a bit of pressure to JDG with the soul option, as Love Mao just jumped on here, instantly jumps back onto Knight. At this point, Kanavi is the only one in the area, but the Aftershock allowing Love Mao to tank up so much damage. In comes the teleport, an extremely late teleport coming in from Qingtian. So delayed compared to Zoom's, who just instantly flashes on him, gets the stun off with the Ruthless Predator, and immediately Qingtian is just exploded by the combined damage of the Zoe, Jin, as well as Nidalee. Rift Herald, of course, going in favor of JDG. They can look to use it right down mid lane right now, as they attempt to grab some vision in the bot side. Love Mao nearly face checking into Karsa, but as we saw just now, he's incredibly tanky for a support at this point in time. Looks like Love Mao's going to be jumped on here by Karsa and Knight as well, chained up by the first chain, forced to flash over the wall, but Knight jumping in after him doesn't do very much damage at all, as Love Mao looks to be working towards his Zhonya's immediately. This seems to be a trend. I don't know if it's just in the LPL, because I don't really watch any other region, but it looks like engaged supports just always go for the Zhonya's first item right now. And it totally makes sense, if I'm going to be honest, because they're going to get the most utility from it having to go in every single time. JDG, with the mid prio from grouping up 5 men, is just going to walk down and secure themselves this dragon. Hopefully TES on the other side of the map will be able to get some damage onto the top lane tower, or better yet, kill it altogether. Qingtian, not quite sure how much damage he's gotten onto it right now, but it doesn't look to be the case, as Yagao stealing his own wolves away. Yep, Qingtian's definitely going to secure this, especially with Karsa in the wings. But it looks like JDG are set on going straight down mid lane. There's a bunch of go-in pings. It gets thrown down onto the tower. Rift Herald is spawned in the middle of the jungle. Not quite sure what is happening in the LPL today, but every single Rift Herald, every game so far, almost every game, Rift Herald has been spawned in a very awkward position. Looks like this is all part of their plan, however, as the siege begins. Qingtian and Karsa have been called back, and they lose the tier 2 bot tower in exchange for the tier 3 top tower. JDG coming out slightly on top with that. Teleport is coming into the top side from Yagao. Looks like so far his teleports mainly have been to pick up CS instead of be in the right place at the right time. This is it's a pretty rough situation right now as JDG have a very comfortable grip, vice-like grip over the entirety of the game. TES at this point really just need to find some wiggle room, find some way to make plays. They're trading towers, that's fantastic. Even though it is tier 2 for tier 3, at this point in time, beggars can't be choosers. You are so significantly far behind. Not only in terms of gold and kills and tower play things, but in terms of like strength on the map as well. As TES, all they can really do is start working towards their second item and hope that's enough to fight JDG, who at this point I'm pretty sure have two items on their key members, being Loken, probably Zoom, and maybe even Yagao. Kanavi, I think, is going to be a little bit behind on his. Oh, you know, never mind. Kanavi is actually the one with his second item finish. Everyone above mentioned that does have their second item finish, with the exception, of course, of the Renekton, who is just have been having a farm lane. Everyone else has been partially feasting and farming on champions as Baron has spawned. JDG begin the infestation of TES's top side jungle, also looking to take out the last remnants of outer tower defense they have as JDG continue their constriction of TES's pretty much life at this point. So the outer tower falls. TES just pushing into the jungle. Chintian is going to have his teleport off of cooldown soon, as will Zoom. But it looks like Carlos getting tagged up by Sleepy Trouble. Tries to run as much distance as possible. Zenblade coming in as well. Zoro tanking up the paddle star from the top side. As Knight jumps in, Zoro unfortunately has to sacrifice himself for his team. As Zoom teleports in, Chintian did not teleport, has just walked out as another Sleepy Trouble lands. Knight tanking it. Knight getting hit up by as Chintian is forced to tank the pedal star. Unfortunately, I've put him in a terrible position as Jackie Love is continuously being slowed by the curtain call. TES's Karsa now has been forced to try and save him by standing in front of some bullets, but is slapped up by yet another Sleepy Trouble bubble and taken out by a long-range spear from Kanavi. It just is too much. The slows, the CC, JDG are a snowball now going downhill, and at this point, I think they have reached terminal velocity. They are unstoppable, and as try as TES may, it looks to be a grim situation as JDG, having won that fight basically without taking any damage in return. Sleepy Trouble bubble after Sleepy Trouble bubble. Yagao absolutely dominating this game for TES as he just narrowly misses Jackie Love yet again. Jackie Love, unfortunately, immobile AD carries in the bot lane revealed too much information, I guess, in the beginning part of the draft, as Chinken is trying to get a little bit back across the map on the on the opposite side. As we see here, Sleepy Trouble bubble from the north. Karsa eats it to the face. Zoro realizing this needs to tank up the paddle star that's coming. Unfortunately, he can't tank up everything as the Xenoblade follow-up was there. Nice little stopwatch. Sorry, nice little Zhonya's coming in. Zoro left hang to dry, and then Yagao flashing in with the flash he picked up, landing the Sleepy Trouble bubble, skipping around, and then Qingtian coming in to try and tank it up, but he cannot tank up the solar flare, unfortunately, even if he jumped. And then Jackie Love getting hit by that first bullet means Karsa has to turn around, has to be there to pick up a shot himself. Unfortunately, also picking up a severe case of the Sleepy Trouble bubbles, and 3 Sleepy Trouble bubbles, 3 deaths, and a Baron going in favor of JDG. Absolutely in control of this game as the siege continues. Not even recalls were channeled, I do believe, as Jackie Love's trying to get as much poke out as possible, missing another piercing arrow as the curtain call is opened up again. Xenoblade coming out as well as the solar flare coming out, as well as the Sleepy Trouble bubble. Karsa, with the tenacity he has, of course, will be able to step away from that last shot, which would have hurt a lot, but the relentless poke is coming down. Karsa is taken so incredibly low, is taking down a little bit as Zoff tanks another Sleepy Trouble bubble. Thankfully, Yagao does not have blue buff. Their only real consolation, TES, is that this poke cannot ring through and last forever. Zoro is positioning himself very aggressively. He needs to be careful as Xenoblade is coming for him. He throws out a hook as well, pops his Zhonya's as a fight unwinds. Zoom popping the dominance is knocked out by the depth charge. Unfortunately, he does have the Sterak's as TES goes in one at a time. Qingtian in the back trying to do his best. Loken flashing away from him as Zoom is traded back by the E coming in. Needs to be careful, does JDG. Stepping up a little bit far, not landing too much poke. 2 for 2 coming out for TES as some signs of life begin to trickle through. Fortunately for them, for stacking the first 2 dragons, they're able to allow themselves a little bit of wiggle room in terms of not needing to step outside of their base for a while. However, a timer has started as Baron buff is going to die out in under a minute. TES have this little moment of reprieve before the next Baron and Dragon spawn in order to try and get as much CS as possible. Let's see if JDG continue to keep up the pressure. Nice little trade of engages coming in here from either support. A little stare off into both of them shooting and drawing at the same time. Zoom just waiting patiently to land his Ruthless Predator, one-shotting Zor, and then here's a nice bunch of bursts coming out from Knight as Ching Tian just has access to Loken, forced to flash is he. But that last shot coming in from Jackie Love really chunking out Love Mao and Zoom significantly. So now Jackie Love starting to do some damage, but the question is that lingers in the air right now is that too late? Is it too late for him to begin to allow TES to come back into this game? Yagao's blue buff is spawning in under a minute, and once that is in his hands, you can tell that things are going to look especially dire as over the wall, Paddle Stars, and Sleepy, Trouble, Bubbles, Abundance are about to rain down. Thankfully, Yagao looks to be a little bit out of position and will not be able to pick up that blue buff coming from base, I suppose. It looks like they're not even going to use the blue buff. They're just going to straight up run it in. They don't need the blue buff, they feel. They just need one tank of mana for the side of Yagao as the siege begins. Zoom in the bot side does have teleport, is channeling his recall right now as Shinken goes to answer him. The wave has been killed, but it looks like TES are set to just abandon this tower. No sense defending it, I suppose, as JDG might just opt to run it down the mid lane. Loken's just going to whittle away at this, kind of throw his sledgehammer of a pistol at it repeatedly as JDG in full control of the top side of TES's jungle. Zor needing to be the one to face check into the darkness, the grim darkness as Knight tanks up the Sleepy Trouble bubble, which means Zor's gonna have to tank up the Paddle Star. He does, chunking him to about half HP. On Zor is not having the time of his life right now as he's forced back to base. Unfortunately, when a carry gets hit by Sleepy Trouble bubble, that is the role of the tank, the support, and the jungler. As Jackie Love needs to be careful now. Another CP Trouble Bubble ringing through. Yaga already low on HP as the Curtain Call comes in to try and dissuade TES from a fight. Zor is just being focused down as the Solar Flare comes down, missing everybody as TES attempt to jump forward and find something. Looks like JDG pretty content to just disengage. Curtain Call was used. Didn't really get too much done as Karsa is able to tank up most of those shots for now. Kanavi and Yagao, however, just playing between the lanes, throwing out spell after spell. And it seems to not be enough to break TS right now as Knight is on the hunt. I guess that's a good choice of having an assassin, especially this LeBlanc, who can jump back to her initial distortion location. Means that, well, there's a lot of, there's 3 pink wards in the ambush. JDG a little bit heavy, I think, on the emphasis on vision. As in the, if we look at the items now, Magi is coming out from Kanavi, feeling comfortable, having not died at all. Slight mix of damage as well as healing cut in his build as he builds towards his Void Staff right now. Jackie Love looks to be building towards his Lord Dominic's as a Void Staff coming in now for Knight. Second items are ringing through pretty decently quickly for the side of TES. Unfortunately, JDG just seemed to be a hit in items in every single lane so far. As Yaga now building towards his Zonya. Karsa getting hit up by the Sleepy Trouble bubble yet again. Fortunately, he has tons of tenacity and is able to run away from that Solar Flare. As another Sleepy Trouble rings through. Ching Tian is the recipient of it this time. Thankfully, his team is in position as Love Mao is nearly engaged onto. Lands a very long range that's a bit brought back by the distortion as Love Mao forced into the Zonya. Zooms tanking up the damage in the front line with dominance activated as he gets snapped back. The depth charge was used onto him as Love Mao is now in the back lines. The Jackie Love getting hit out by the spear means he's forced to flash away as Kanavi just applying pressure from over the map, zoning out both the carries as Zoom is taken down by Karsa, but in jumps Yagao. Zor is popping his Zonyas. Unfortunately, he's going to die 100% as Knight eats the last final Curtain Call shot. And just like that, JDG rout TES yet again after such valiant fighting, another 1-for-1. But thankfully, it seems to be enough for TES to continue to hang on to this game by the skin of their teeth, by the cracking fingernails from which they are just gripping what they can, wrestling what control they can in this game from the paws, claws, and jaws of JDG. TES showing some good signs of life. And while I think this game is more than done, I think this bodes very well for the remainder of this series. Games 2 promises to be pretty stellar, if you ask me. As Karsa just popping around in the jungle, letting people know that he is in the area. Dragon is spawning in 12 seconds. Barret is, of course, up on the map as well. Unfortunately for TES, JDG have full control of the map and vision might not be heavily in their favor for now, but immediately JDG looking to change that out as Karsa smiting away the blue buff from... Wait. He does have the blue buff, I think. Yeah. Kanavi doesn't have it, Yaga doesn't have it. Okay. But looks like for TES fighting, this dragon is going to be a dream, a longing, a desire that will not come true as Zor and Knight. Desperate times call for desperate measures as they are ramping up the desperation of their plays. Bush camping now, looking to catch someone in rotation for a Baron, looking to see if JDG do split up and look to go for a greedy two-play, try to make two plays at one time. But looks like JDG very disciplined. Actually, are just opting to run it down mid lane. Not really sure where Zor and Knight are. Feeling strong as 5 people as Sleepy Trouble Bubble tags out Karsa over the wall. Yet again, his tenacity making it so that it's been quite hard for the follow-up to land onto him. Needs to be careful, however, is very far away from any one of his team members and could get potentially engaged upon. Love Mouse so far has been a true sniper with these Zenith Blades, bringing him even onto the likes of Knight, who has also completed his Magi's, is at 4 stacks, 9 stacks behind Kanavi at this point in time, as Loken stepping towards Knight after he was distortioned over the wall. Has no fear for now, but needs to be careful. Does have the Hex Drinker, which makes sense, as well as the Gale Force, as well as a stopwatch, as Yagao teleports back to continuously apply pressure. Looks like Loken has completed something. Let's see what it is. Is it a Guardian Angel, or is it... Nope, it is the Maw of Malmortius coming in, realizing that the only way JDG get back into TES get back into this game is if he is one-shotted, as Kanavi is looking to be right now. Down goes the Magi stacks back to 3 as Knight feasts on some of his Magi stacks, going up to 8 at this point in time. It's almost like a little match of football, soccer, basketball going on in the game, as Kanavi opting to go for full damage and utility instead of a Zhonya's for his second or third item, and is punished accordingly. Knight finding him in the jungle and just one-shotting him. TES showing even more signs of life. It might have been a twitch just now, but right now I think it's a wiggle as Jackie Love wiggling away from that Sleepy Trouble Bubble, which would most definitely have led to his death. Knight is just looking, cracking, poking, prodding for the little crevices he can find to bring his team back into the game. Nice flash predict yet again, as Zoom in the bot side is getting engaged by Qingtian. Looks like the rest of JDG are not making a rotation. Knight is in the area. Dominus is popped. Looks like he's looking to fight Qingtian instead of Knight. As he pops the stopwatch, in comes Yaga with the paddle star. As Knight is forced to run away, Qingtian is left high and dry. Knight jumping in to try and finish off Zoom. Unfortunately, he is unable to, as Qingtian falls to the combined efforts of Yagao and Zoom. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, TES securing themselves a nice little bit of gold. They have a top wave to pick up as well. Some vision to secure around Baron. And JDG are being torn apart. Teleport is coming in from Zoom. It looks like JDG, not wanting to allow this game to slip from their hands, are about to make a drastic play here, as Yagao is skipping his way from the bot lane straight towards Baron. Knight is just there again to pick up the mid priority where possible. JDG starting out Baron without Yagao in the area. Not that he provides very much, but Love Mount over the wall, just trying to dissuade Karsa as much as possible. As the Sleepy Trouble Bubble lands, the W goes wide from the Jin as a super mega long range Paddle Star comes in. Love Mount is engaged onto by Zor and the rest of TES, but Yagao's in the area trying to get a back line shot. Jackie Love has been shot over the wall, will not be able to participate in this fight as Knight is tagged out by the curtain call. Zor popped into Zhonya's. Unfortunately, it's not going to do much but prolong his existence, which is very quickly snubbed out. Yagao completely out of mana, but Jackie Love, someone popped the blast plant and sent him over the wall. He was not able to participate in that fight. Did have flash, but did not want to go over the wall, I suppose, to join the rest of his team. As Kanavi steps forward now with a lot of Magi stacks, he is the one to pick up the ones that Knight dropped off, unfortunately. And it looks like, despite their best valiant efforts, TES are not going to be able to make it through this, as Kanavi is just pouncing, stalking Jackie Love. Spears going wide on his left and right. As Dominus is popped. Zoom looking to go in. Qingtian needs to sacrifice himself as he's flashed onto here. Instant whatever the W is called, and is one-shotted out as Knight falls, as Jackie Love falls as well. This looks to be the end of game 1. Valiant effort again, but unfortunately it is not enough, as Love Mao is just as quickly traded for Zor. Victory over to JDG. Thank you guys so much for watching this game between the two finalists of Summer 2020 as they make their way off stage. We will catch you for game 2. See ya!